that forcing them to hold such passports and identifying them as possessing Chinese nationality is a serious violation of their human rights and an insult to their human dignity. Where are all of these arguments heading? What does the Taiwan Relations Act say? Should this passport controversy be included in Washington's yearly review of Taiwan policy issues? Stay tuned for our full report coming up next.
Recent protests on the streets of Taiwan have drawn international attention. Now, Taiwanese human rights advocates are taking their complaints to the U.S. executive branch. Our news channel has recently learned that a number of Washington, D.C. reporters have been investigating Taiwan's unresolved legal status. At a recent invitation-only press briefing in the White House, they brought up some pointed questions about the legitimacy of the so-called Republic of China passport. Our British correspondent, Darren Stevens, was able to get an invitation. Darren, what's your reaction to what happened at the press briefing?
The British media are taking an interest in this topic because the Chinese government officials are expounding a view that Winston Churchill, in his later years, specifically denied. Churchill denied that Japanese surrender ceremonies in Taipei, October 25, 1945, could be interpreted as resulting in a transfer of Taiwan's territorial sovereignty to China. I recently spoke with professors in the Department of War Studies at King's College London. They also told me that there are no criteria under international law whereby surrender ceremonies could result in a transfer of territorial sovereignty.
Well, excuse me for a moment, but why are we talking about surrender ceremonies? I thought we were talking about the validity of the Republic of China passport for use by Taiwanese people.
Well, exactly, but it's all tied together. The Chinese military officials announced Taiwan Retrocession Day on October 25, 1945. And then based on that, they announced the mass naturalization of native Taiwanese as ROC citizens on January 12, 1946. A few years down the road, they then promulgated mandatory military conscription policies over the Taiwanese populace in mid-1949 or thereabouts.
So it does appear that all of these issues are closely related. However, for the benefit of our listening audience, maybe you can clarify what the correct procedure should be.
Well, according to professors at King's College, the surrender ceremonies only mark the beginning of the military occupation. Under the Geneva Conventions and the Hague Conventions, there is no other possible interpretation. Additionally, based on those conventions, the announcement of the annexation of the occupied territory, the mass naturalization of the local inhabitants, the implementation of mandatory military conscription policies, or the introduction of an entirely new legal code or constitution, etc., in occupied territory. All these kinds of actions are war crimes.
So let me get this straight. The recognition of Taiwanese people as Republic of China citizens is based on an illegal military order by the ROC military officials in January 1946 in occupied Taiwan territory. Is that a correct statement of the legal situation?
That sums it up pretty well. So, not surprisingly, more and more native Taiwanese people are contacting reporters in Washington, D.C. and demanding that they bring up these issues with US executive branch officials.
We have some scenes from the press conference. Let's cut to those now.
A number of reporters have asked for a clarification from the White House, the State Department, and Customs and Border Protection under the Department of Homeland Security, asking why any passport issued by the so-called Republic of China Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Taiwan can be considered to be a valid travel document for native Taiwanese persons to hold when traveling internationally, and in particular, when completing entry and exit procedures into the United States. You have clarified this by further noting that under the One China policy of the United States, there is no Republic of China, and indeed the Taiwan Relations Act does not recognize the nomenclature of Republic of China. In addition, according to the standardized ISO codes of the International Organization for Standardization regarding citizenship and nationality in the world community, there is no Republic of China or ROC designation. However, the Republic of China passport